Hey guys, welcome back to the Colour Plane podcast. Today, me and Jesse are sitting down with Josh, who goes by 075 Barber on Instagram. Jesse, very excited about this one today.
Oh, I'm beyond excited. We're talking about someone who has an 8 million view video on TikTok. It's changed the entire landscape of his business. Jack, this is crazy. And also, don't forget to join the Colour Plane Community Facebook group.
Good call. And if you enjoy this podcast, give us 5 stars. It means a lot.
Let's do it.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us, man. It's cool to have you in. It's probably a bit of a different guest for us, which is exciting for me and Jesse. We've had a lot of brands on so far, so it's cool to have someone like yourself as a barber, self-made barber, coming on just to get a different lens, different perspective. Let's start with where it all started for you with being a barber.
Yeah, and like I said, bro, I really appreciate you guys putting me on. It means a lot, and I know you guys do more like fashion stuff, so it's dope to see you guys like kind of reaching out too. That's dope. As cliche as it sounds, bro, like I actually knew like since I was a young kid that I wanted to cut hair.
Wow.
I knew like the first time I stepped in a barbershop, I knew I was like this is what I want to do.
That's
Because like barbers are like, to me, they're like the coolest people in society. You know what I mean? Like they're like covered in tats. They wear whatever they want. They listen to whatever music they want, and they just chat shit all day while they cut hair. So I knew I wanted to do it, but it's just like, coming from a WOG family, they're very like, nah, go to uni, nah, just like, be a renderer, be a carpenter, like what is barbering? And like rightfully so, back in the day, like barbering was a dying art. It was more like you just go to Just Cuts for like $15 instead of spend, today like $50 for a haircut price.
Yep.
So I would always just like be doing different stuff. Like I went to uni for a long time. After uni, I went to carpentry. I tried like a 9-to-5 job. But bro, it's just like, and you guys would know, like when you love what you do and you want to do it, it's like a whisper, bro. In the back of your head, it's like, nah, just do barbering. And then I was a carpenter for 2 years, and I just remember like hating it real bad. And it's almost as if like it worked out for me to fall into barbering, because I hurt myself as a carpenter. Like I did my shoulders.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, well, I can't even lift timber above my head anymore. But what I can do is hold these 300 milligram clippers. And then I was like, all right, cool. So I just started like cutting for a few of the boys at work, and I was like, bro, I love this. And then just like doing it more and more and more. And then, bro, before I knew it, like I blinked and here I am. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
That's sick.
It's obviously you had this picture of it as like a young kid of like what it is to be a barber.
Yeah.
Can you confirm like it is what you thought it was?
Bro, it's everything I thought it was and times 100.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Like, no cap. It's the best job in the world for me.
Yeah, it's so inspiring having you in, man, and just seeing, I can feel your energy, and like that's what this podcast is all about. It started a lot with clothing, but we're excited to bring in any creative that loves what they do, and that's why we're so stoked to have you here.
No, I appreciate it. Seriously, thank you.
Of course, man, very excited for this chat.
100%. So one of the things you do amazingly is how you market on social media, more specifically TikTok. That's something me and Jesse obviously big on. We think it's a future. We think if you're not doing it, you're shooting yourself in the foot. And you do an amazing job. Let's start with TikTok, because that's obviously your main platform. What does that look like for you in terms of strategy? What's your journey been with TikTok?
Like we kind of touched on before, at the start it was very like trial and error. It was very like fumbly. I didn't know where I was going with it. But I just knew that like with any sort of new venture, it's just volume. Like you just put out as much as you can. What works, okay, let me write that down, and then just like pursue that. I knew can I like, is it alright if I swear?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, yeah, so I knew I fucked up pretty heavy with like not jumping on YouTube and Instagram straight away. Like I was, it's always like that fear of judgment, which is like a big thing for like a lot of content creators. I feel like they're scared to like put shit out because they're like, oh, I don't want to be cringy. I don't want to like look like like an idiot, or I don't know what I'm doing or whatever. So for me, it was like, all right, let me just remove myself from the thought and just be the observer of the content and just start posting as much as I can, without judgment. Do you know what I mean? So like not to judge myself when I'm posting stuff. Like if I want to be that quirky, cool barber in front of the camera, be that. Let me see how that goes. If I want to be, more like kind of chill, like how I am on the camera now, then yeah, let me try that. Like it doesn't matter who you are at the start, because no one's really seeing it anyway,
That's such a great message. Did you experiment like with that quirky barber? Like how many personalities?
Absolutely,
You
Dude,
try
it was
everything?
like, I think I tried like 4 kind of different like strategies, and it wasn't like, for me, it's like, yeah, the numbers matter, like especially on TikTok, like you're aiming for big numbers, but you got to do what's natural, bro. Like it's exhausting to be someone you're not. You know what I'm saying?
Has to be like sustainable.
Yeah,
Something
bro.
me and Jesse talk about a lot with what we do business wise and personally. It's
Yeah, if it's not authentic, you can't repeat it. you know,
Well, that's exactly,
as you
bro.
said, it's exhausting. Well
And you
said.
become a slave to it as well.
Dude,
it's
it's
like now you're
horrible.
having to do something you don't want to do, and yeah,
Well, it's crazy because if you look at it from the outside, it's like, all right, it's like almost like that two-faced thing. You know what I mean? Like I'm the second the camera's on, I'm this completely different person, and then you jump off and you're just burnt, bro. That's how it was. Like it was like I was burning out so hard just by being this person that I wasn't. And then I would like sit back and kind of think to myself like, bro, why am I trying to be this person? Like just because I saw Joe Blow do it and he's like got 1 million views, like who cares, you know? And it was only when I started like using the authentic idea, like things that came to me and not things that I was like observing, that's when it started popping off. Like I knew I wanted to be a bit more minimal. Like I'm a big fan of being minimal. All right, let me incorporate that into my content. I knew I like things that are a bit quicker. I don't like really long thought out videos. All right, cool. Let me do that. And it's just like the more truer I was to myself, the more people would view that because they haven't seen that version of anybody. I'm the only person that does that because this is me. It's not like I can't sit here and make content like Jesse or yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like I can only be myself. That's when the content started rolling. That's when and now all the content that's authentic is the stuff that explodes.
So amazing, man. As Dr. Seuss once said, no one's youer than you. And
Facts.
like it's amazing. And I've heard from various other really successful creators that it's your biggest competitive advantage is being uniquely you.
Yeah.
As you just said so perfectly, like you can't do the content we do and vice versa. And the moment you realize that's your best competitive advantage, there's no one who's you. There's like for you, it'd be like your upbringing, you're a barber, probably the age you're doing it at, the way you're filming it, all these unique aspects form this like incredible experience.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to morph those aspects into other people are, I've seen this shit. You know? So it is vulnerable to, as you would attest to, I think it's very vulnerable to put yourself out and follow uniquely you. It's probably the most vulnerable thing you could do.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I think after that, after you jump over that big hurdle, then it's all downhill. Like you said, that's when you really, and you wake up and you go, I can just be me all day, every day, right?
Absolutely, bro. It's kind of like the analogy that I like to use is like, let's say you got like a little gap like this big and you're super, super high up. You could jump that gap any day of the week, yeah? But if you stand in front of that gap and you're like, oh, fuck. Like, bro, you're going to fall right into that gap, bro. And that's exactly how I try to think of like the content, being myself, being authentic. Like, I feel like with you guys with push-pull, you just went for it. And you're doing the designs you love and you guys are choosing it. You're not being like, you don't grab a piece of fabric and go, oh, does Ahmed, Joey, Josh, you know, KR, all these other, oh, do they like it? Then you're like, nah, I'm going to run it by me, my homeboy, do you like it? Bet, let's do it. And it's just like, if I'm going to hesitate at that jump, I'm falling straight in there. And it's just, like, I've done that before. I've fallen into that little gap and you get stuck and it sucks. But then it's just so easy to jump over it. And you realize when you're on the other side, you're just like, oh, like, bro, what was I worried about? You know what I mean?
Have you had much pushback from like family and friends?
Yeah, bro, huge. I come from like a Muslim background and my community is very like conservative. So not only like I'm covered in like tattoos and I got piercings and shit like that. So that already was like a pushback just on appearance. And then you could imagine like being a parent watching their kid going to an industry where like that doesn't matter. Like I could tattoo my face tomorrow, nothing would happen. They're just like, oh my God, like what is this kid doing? Do you know what I mean? So it was a big pushback in terms of them being scared of like, can you actually like make a living? Because they didn't understand like, when you look at it from the outside, you got random people who are finding me on TikTok and they're making the trip to my house in Laylaw, bro, like on the other side of the city to pay me money and they're just trusting me. Like there's no, like even when I would think about it, I'd be like, fuck, bro, this is like, am I actually doing this? And then my parents would freak out because it's not traditional, you know what I mean? It's not like there's no boss paying you and like if you don't show up to work, they still pay you and you get sick. Like none of that shit's happening. It's just me. But I think the turning point was like when my parents would see the check come in. And then they'd be like, oh, okay. All right, it's all good. It's all good. No worries. And then like, because my dad runs a business as well. So my dad, like, when he saw the numbers, he was cool with it. But my mum was very like freaking out the whole way through. Like even till now, they still kind of freak out. So, yeah.
So funny how they need like something tangible in front of them
bro.
to really like, just feel comfortable about the whole thing. It's crazy. It's just a different generation, I guess.
That's funny, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, even with your success on TikTok, you know, I think you're one of your biggest videos has 8 million views, but to a parent that would just sound like nothing. You know what I mean? Like that could it's hard to equate what that means in terms of like money, but like in terms of like a creative industry, if you get 8 million views on something, and it's that was like in your barbering realm, like that is such a big like leap. That could be a week's worth of customers, months, a year worth of customers.
Yeah, bro.
I don't tell us about that.
Like in what sense, like what it's like to hit it, or
yeah, like when you make like a super viral video in barbering, like what are the ramifications? Like what are the repercussions?
I think in any like creative industry, I think you guys. I was listening to a podcast that you guys did where you were talking about a guy who did like a specific garment and then just like sold out, like and did 150K in a month or something like that.
Jasper, yeah, shout out.
So like you guys can even understand from a clothing or like a fashion perspective what that means. Now, for me, I feel like it's less stress because like I don't have a tangible product. All the person does is book and wait. So it's just like I remember my first ever booked out week was because of a 1 million video. And like I would be the biggest stress. Like even till now, I still stress the fuck out. Like if I look at the numbers, I'm like, bro, why isn't Tuesday 2 o'clock booked? Like I'm still like that. But like I just remember I hit like the first ever video I posted was like a low tape or mullet video, and it was like I was only hitting like 2,000, like 10,000 once. It was nothing. I posted this low tape or mullet video around the time that most people were doing low tape or mullets. But I woke up the next day and it had like 1 million views. And I just sat staring at the phone and I was like, fuck, this is 1 million people, bro. Like I'm trying to think about how many people, 1 million people. Like that's a lot of people.
So hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
Like, bro, what is Etihad Stadium? It's not even that, like it's not even 1 million, is it? Yeah. So I'm like, fuck, that's
like
more.
40,000.
Yeah, bro, it's more than that. I was like, damn, like that's a lot of people. And then what I noticed was like that fades away pretty quick, that G up over the numbers, because like nothing changes it. It's not like I got $1 million in the bank. Like nothing happened. When I felt it, bro, was when I didn't look at the booking app until the Monday, which is the day before my work. I work from Tuesday to Saturday. I was like, bro, I'm booked out for the week. And like, this is like,
Is that the first time that it happened?
Yeah, bro. First time. And like, this is coming from a guy that would like, I'd cut like 5 people a week, bro. So it's like nothing. I'm like making nothing. And I just remember, bro, the first ever week booked out, I was like, I lost, like even till now, I still remember what it feels like to just be at a loss for words where I'm like, bro, this many people want me to cut their hair. Like this random dude, and just having a booked out week and then a little bit of the week after. And then it's just like, as that content keeps folding over and rolling over, those millions of people that might not like even a low tape or mullet see my video on mid fades and see my video on mid crops and all this other shit. And they go, oh, okay, cool. Then I'll book him. And then I'll book him. And then like, bro, I had like, within that week, the next week got fully booked. And then the next week got fully booked. And I was just like, bro, like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life because of TikTok, bro. Like, it was crazy.
And doubling down on TikTok for a minute, it's what I find so interesting about your socials is, you know, Instagram, you're like doing well, it's early days, and like YouTube's similar, but like your TikTok's like, I think 200,000 followers, like it's rocking.
Yeah.
And why I find that so interesting, Josh, is I look back, if you had 200,000 subscribers on YouTube, you'd have 100,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like that's the traditional path. But on TikTok, this new era, you can just be absolutely ginormous on TikTok and not as drastically big on the other platforms, but still get the experience of being a big creator.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think, you know, for young people out there, like young barbers on the come up, like this is something that's just like, it has to be focused on.
Oh, dude, you have to. I think if you're a young barber and you're not doing this, bro, like you got like, you're kind of just dipping your toe in the pool, like just get in, you know what I'm saying? Like you're missing out on such a big like audience. Just because what, bro? You just get to post a 7-second video. Like, you know what I'm saying?
How many videos are you posting at the moment?
Right now, I've dialed it back a bit because I was like feeling the burnout. So like now it's like 3 a day.
I'm not just posting to like 5 a week.
Yeah, 3 a day.
3 a day.
It's 3 a day now. But bro, it was like at 6 to 7 a day at one point. And I was just like, if I didn't hit 7 or 6 or like 5, I was like having a panic attack. I was like, fuck, bro, I haven't posted the 5th one. And it's just like, Just
to give context to the audience too, Josh is a one-man show. Yeah. So that is just extremely...
So you're editing that, you're filming that.
Yeah, bro.
It's a lot of time.
He's cutting, he's like running across. Did I get the shot? Like,
dude, you know, like some of my clients laugh at me because like while I'm cutting hair, like we'll talk. Like me and the clients talk a lot. And I'm a conversationalist by nature. I love to talk. But then there's like moments where just like obviously like no one's talking. And I'm just cutting the hair and I'm just thinking. And as I'm cutting, I'm thinking, I'm like, bro, that's a mad idea. I stopped the haircut and in my bathroom, in my kitchen, I got this little whiteboard. I just like write an idea on the whiteboard, run back. And they're like, bro, what the fuck is that? I was like, no, you'll see it later tonight. Don't
I love that, man.
Yeah,
that's dope.
That's dope, yeah.
And you as a conversationalist, you know, you have your audience quite like it's a younger male demographic. Is that right?
Yeah, it ranges. So I feel like they are on the younger side, but it's like a good mix, like in between. Yeah.
Dope. And what sort of, how are those conversations going? Are they varied? Are you having similar conversations with these kids?
Yeah, like bro, you get a couple of gems, bro, hearing like people that are just like unfathomable, like insane personalities. But bro, unfortunately, like the large majority of people are the exact same person coming through. Like it's scary, bro.
What do you put that down to?
Two things, bro. Like lack of empathy. Like I said before, lack of empathy is huge. Like it's like, bro, you can't even like imagine how big the lack of empathy is nowadays. On top of that, bro, everybody is just terrified by like this system that we've been built in. Like, bro, like people are just like, you speak to them and you ask them questions about like their life and they're scared to even talk about their dream, bro. It's crazy. It's like, it's really crazy.
That's two big things, you know. So like with the lack of empathy, you know, what do you attribute that to? You know, are people naive? Like what do you find?
I think the system that we're in today is very like, it's kind of like, you know, when you see horses running, they got that shit on their face to only see what's in front of them. Yeah, the blinders. It's the same in today, bro. Today's society is exactly the same. Like I forgot what it's like to have the blinders on because I'm not in that life anymore. I get to do what I want. But then like I remember like working at the marketing firm and just being like, I don't give a fuck what this person thinks or how they feel today. I want my sale. I don't give a fuck what my friend thinks or whether I'm going to steal from his pocket. I want that sale. And it's like, that's like an extreme version. But bro, like even down to the molecular level of society, it's like that, bro. Like the cashier that's serving you, there's no substance to how was your day. It's just, how was your day? And they just continue, like, do you know what I mean? And it's just like that. And then like little things, bro. Like walking by people don't smile back, or there's no human, like, you know, human level of interaction anymore. And I don't even attribute that to like screens and our technology, bro. It's the people. Like there's like something very wrong with how people are like kind of taking things in. And I think it's just, it's the people we look up to for one. And then I think it's like the lack of process in the person. Like they're not actually thinking about what they're doing, what they're saying, how they're acting. It's just like I think that's what it is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think lots of people are definitely living through others.
Yeah.
Now with all these influencers, social media, that they see things and they think that's real life, when really that guy's just gone and rented something or just for a post. Like it's just, everything's just so fake these days. So it's yeah, I can't even imagine how it is like, you know, coming up through high school with all these external, you know, factors being thrown at you left, right and center, and then for you to be able to stay on your own course and be confident within yourself, it must be so tough.
My gripe with society, and I've thought about this for a long time, is just how, you know, we have the elderly and like the elderly community, right? And I think about myself, I'm only 25, but you know, I think
25. What the fuck, bro? I thought you were like 20. No cap. Yeah, God is happy with you.
Appreciate it. So like, you know, I go back 5 years and I'm like, me at 25, I'm so much more experienced and lived so much more life and been through so much more that I'd be so much more valuable to speak to just over 5 years.
Yes,
bro. But imagine 50 years. Imagine I'm 75.
Exactly.
There has to be a wealth of knowledge there.
Yeah.
That person's had their family pass away, many members. They've probably traveled most countries of the world, like done a lot of incredible things, I'd imagine, you know, unique to them. But these things aren't being shared.
Yeah, bro.
And I was like, think like, who was the last elderly person you spoke to in society that wasn't like a grandparent?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's almost like we've kind of just shunted them because like they're not on social media, they're not with the times,
right,
in terms of technology, and so their voice just has kind of been left out, which is sad.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like that thing, bro. It's like you touched on a really important thing. Like even if you're 25 years old, bro, the amount of knowledge and the amount of substance in that brain is crazy. But like, bro, like, oh, if you don't have a Ferrari, I don't want to talk to you. It's like, what the fuck is that? Like, where does that come from?
Yeah, man. On some real shit here real quick. Like even for myself, I had to pull myself. I was journaling the other day and I had to get very real with myself because I caught myself looking at people's Instagrams and like judging them on like followers and shit. Yeah. And I was like, holy fuck. Like that's not it. Yeah. I don't want to ever be that person. You know? So it's like, I feel bad bringing it up because I was tangling with myself like, why am I doing that? You know, and it's so unconscious. Like I'm not actively looking at their followers and their name and their photos, but it just kind of floats in.
It's that system, like that system. You like as soon as you open someone's profile, it's like, oh, followers. Oh fuck, I don't want to talk to this cunt. Like I don't want to look at his shit.
Yeah, man. It's super unhealthy. And funnily enough, it's like the people I meet with like 50 followers, 100 followers, like they're normally 10 times better people than the people with a million followers, right?
Yeah, bro.
So it's a funny thing, but yeah. But what do you think about that, Jack?
Have you had much time to think about like ways forward in terms of that? Like obviously you have a lot of young people, like there's a lot of problems. Have you thought about any I don't know, whether yourself or just like broadly, like what needs to change?
Like at the end of the day, like we touched on before, I'm just like one dude. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I think in every aspect of my interaction with people, like being a barber is a very intimate job. I'm touching your head, like I'm about as close as I can possibly get, bro. Without hooking up, like I said. But I think when you have someone come in, bro, and like what I try to do is I just try to change the mind of every, like as cliche as it sounds, I want to change the brain of every single person that sits in my chair. So the crazy thing is, like when someone comes and gets a haircut, they sit in your chair. The second you touch that person, the barriers are off, bro. No one's like trying to be a hard cunt anymore. No one's trying to be tough. No one's trying to act cool. It's just like, I'm just cutting your hair. The barriers are let down, right? That is when I feel the chance to like kind of just slip in and make the change and just pick their brains. So like for me personally, moving forward, what I try to do is I just want to hear, like I want to listen to the client base, the populate, like the young kids, the older dudes. I want to listen, not just hear them, but listen. And then take that and try to address it in content. And even on the individual level, talk to that person, really understand like what the crazy thing is like, because I see things from an outside perspective, this person is just letting their thoughts out to me. So they'd be like, oh, bro, like, you know, like, yeah, my cousin did this, so fuck him, he's such a dog. And I'm just like, yeah, well, bro, maybe, you know, maybe this and that was your fault too, you know what I'm saying? And, bro, you see people's expression, like their whole vibe just and they go, oh, shit, yeah, maybe you're right, bro. And it's just like, even on that level, just like trickling in the empathy and just being like, bro, how about this? How about that? And then trying to pull that out and then give it to a wider audience. And that's what I struggle with, like at that point of just trying to institutionalize it and try to make it a thing for the masses instead of just on an individual level. But I know that for me, the best thing that I can do now is that every person I talk to, show them that empathy, show them not to be afraid to just move forward and take that step for yourself. And in terms of the big field, I mean, like the world's your oyster, bro. Like I might meet someone tomorrow who allows me to do a speech in front of the masses and I could maybe change the mind of like, I don't know, 10K people or 5 people or 3, like I don't care, but I just want to get that point across, you know?
Because I think, really well said, by the way, and I think within empathy, Josh, there's listening is a huge component.
Yeah.
And I've read in some different forums that it's a sort of a tragedy that listening isn't taught at schools, because I think you would say it the most, you know, in the chair there, when you listen to someone and they feel valued and they just express and keep talking and let it out. It's like sometimes that's the most powerful thing.
Yeah.
You might not need to say another word.
Yeah.
But the fact that we're not being taught those processes, because there's a skill to learning. Right?
Absolutely.
Sorry, skill to listening and learning. But yeah, I think listening is extremely powerful, and probably with this, you know, younger sort of generation, it's probably being thrown to the wayside.
I think so. Yeah, just being open, like just keeping an open mind is there's something to say for that. I think just being a learner, like learning never stops. And I think that's where the system's a bit broken, because we go into school being taught things that we don't want to learn. And so we naturally just neglect school, neglect class, because it's like, well, like, how's this going to help me?
Yeah.
And then we can't wait until that's all done. We can't wait till we've finished having to do what we don't want to do.
Yeah, facts.
And then we just shut off. We shut off that part of our brain. It's like, all right, I'm in a job now. This is what I do. Like, nothing else really matters. Absolutely. So I think that's something for us too, is like, and that's where like the humble thing, that's where earlier you were like when I'm in reception, I'm very humble. I think that's like, you have to be ready to learn something from anyone.
Absolutely.
Like, and that's really important. I think that's something that's being lost. Like, everyone is entitled, think they know it all. Like, man, we don't know anything. Like,
and bro, speaking to a lot of people, like, people do not know a single fucking thing about anything. It's all opinion, bro. And it's funny because like when someone's talking about some shit they don't know, and you let them, like, you listen to them, right? Like, you touched on this before, like actually listening. So like, I'll let someone talk shit about a person, or like talk shit about something they know nothing about. And as they're talking, because I'm listening to them, I haven't said a word. They go, oh fuck, no, I actually don't know anything about this. Or fuck, maybe I am being an asshole. Like, by themselves, bro. So like, maybe it's like this whole like mentality or like system that we have of like, you know, side A is talking, side B is screaming louder than side A, and then side A gets silenced. Like, that shit is fucked. That should not happen. Like, silencing an entire side or screaming on top is just not. I don't understand why we can't just go, all right, Jesse, you got an issue, tell me about it. Okay, I'm hearing you. And while you talk, you're listening to yourself.
Yeah.
These words are powerful. They hold substance.
Yeah.
So you're talking, you're listening to yourself. You might have some other thoughts about what you said. And I go, okay, I hear you. But how about this and that? And I can hear myself too. And you hear what's in between the lines, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes the person that's speaking doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about, you know what I mean?
100%.
And the person that's listening knows. So that is super important too.
So many times me and Jesse might not having an argument, but be kind of contending something.
Yeah.
And in my head, I think I'm right. And then I'll say it to Jesse and I'm like, hold on. Like, no, Jesse's right.
Exactly.
We do
like
that
once
all-
I've voiced it, like now it becomes apparent to me.
Exactly.
I would almost say it's like greatest strength of our friendship is like, because I've had it very rarely, probably never with another person, not just another friend, but anyone in my life, where we literally voice something and halfway through we are, I don't know what I'm on about. You know, like, like your point's better than mine. Like, I don't even know why I'm combating. So, but we just kind of fall on our sword so quickly with that, you know?
And bro, like, sorry to cut you off, but like what I've noticed, bro, is like even within yourselves, you guys have so much humility. You know what I mean? And I think that's so fucking powerful for the people that like watch this podcast, is to just not even just listen to what you guys are saying, but understanding your mannerisms and like the authenticity of what you say. Like you saying that you were journaling and saying like, fuck, bro, like I was judging someone off their followers. Like, this is the issue, bro. Like the people that are up there don't have that. They don't do this shit. They don't say out loud to a podcast that's gonna jump everywhere that I caught myself being a douchebag. I should stop this shit. This is what I did. Learn from me. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh man, it's
Like
powerful.
that
Thank
to
you.
me is so fucking, or like even the humility in what you guys are saying, like saying, admitting that you could be wrong, not only to your best friend, but to everybody that's watching, you know what I mean? Even to Digby that's like chilling out and taking notes, like vibing out. He's like, you know what? Like if I can see my homeboy like out here really taking, you know, accountability for himself and incorporating these values of humility and accountability and empathy and all these things, why can I not be the same way? And this is the thing, like this is what needs to change. More people like yourselves being on the front line.
Man, I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me and Jack. On that note, I think, you know, I've learned just over the last few years, it's definitely, you know, me trying to be more vulnerable and express how I really feel about things is taking me a very long time.
Yeah.
And I think the number one reason I do it, and the reason I shared what I said before, is I think a lot of us go through similar headspaces, but back to society, I think we get caught in this perfection cycle where it's like, oh, I can't say that because just in case every other person hasn't felt that.
Yeah,
I don't know the outsider, but you'd be surprised 99% of the time, everyone in the room's like, whoa, yeah, maybe I did that once, or it lets them reflect, you know?
Exactly.
So I think it's important for you to lead on things that, you know, those sort of contentious areas of your life.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. It's just so cool to see someone like yourself just like putting yourself out there and going for it. Like your face is on a lot of your content.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're really vulnerable, and I think people see that and feel like they want to do it too, and they can do it. Like just seeing someone like yourself, just that's possible, and
absolutely,
like, and you know you're a successful barber.
Thank
I'd love
you,
to talk on, you know, what advice would you give those young kids that, you know, want to do their own thing? That maybe they're in a 9-to-5, maybe they're at uni, they know they're destined to do something else or be their own boss. Like, what advice would you give those people?
I think there's a few different ways you can look at it. You can look at it like systemically, like actually how to do these things. And when you write it down on paper, I think it takes away a lot of the fear of what it is. So like, bro, where's like when you write it down, okay, maybe I need $1,000, bro, work till $1,000 and walk away from the job. Like it's so easy to get stuck in that. So I think on that level, like specifically without the mindset stuff, I think learn to implement goals. And like, I know it sounds so like cliche, like write your goals down and shit, but like it's
the basics,
legit.
so yeah.
It's exactly, bro. It's back to the basics. Like write down how much you need and then put pressure on yourself, you know, like being like, you know what, I'm going to hit a K. I'm going to leave my job. So I got all the time in the world to do this thing. I have to do it perfect because if not, I'm fucked now. I don't have a job. I got to look for another one.
Yeah.
So I think that pressure is really important. Like not to bring it back onto myself, but even when I felt that I was kind of killing it a little bit, I was like, okay, well, I'm not being 100% right now, and I'm not showing everybody else how, like, you know, how brave and how courageous I am in my craft. Let me move out into somewhere that's like a bit above my pay grade, and let me intentionally fuck myself to make myself better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Dive in the
I had
deep
to do
end.
that.
Yeah.
And then I even like I fucked myself even more by buying like an extra pet, to being like, okay, now I got a family. I have to make this work now. So I think applying pressure and like actually writing down what you need to do and understanding that and then putting that pressure on yourself. But on like a mindset level, I think understanding that 99% of the noise in your head is fucking bullshit. It is so bullshit, bro. Like, who cares if Tom doesn't like your shirt? Who gives a fuck if Jerry doesn't like your haircut? Doesn't matter, bro. Like, who cares if this person comments that? This shit, all this stuff does not matter, bro. Like, I think the big issue and like what kind of changed my life and got me to this point was like understanding that I'm just the observer of the thought. That's all I am, just the observer. I am not the thought. It's like a good example is like when I'm playing COD, I'm not in World War II. I'm just playing COD, you know. The thing is just showing me, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think understanding that, like, when I sit there and I'm fucking scared to do a new haircut that I never tried, okay, why am I scared of the haircut? Like, what's the worst gonna happen? When you ask yourself these questions, bro, like the plan is in motion. Like, you understand that it's not that scary. It's actually really not that scary. It's not that big.
Something I love that Jasper said on this podcast, he said, if it doesn't matter in 5-6 months, then you're sweet.
Yeah.
Like when something matters in like, you know, whether it might be like, I don't know, for me, it could be like a family member sick. It's like, oh, that probably would matter in 5-6 months. That's like a good thing to ask yourself. But if it's
I like that.
Would people care about this faded haircut video
Yeah.
in 5 or 6 months? The answer is no. So don't fucking worry, you know?
Exactly, bro. It's so true. And it's just like you catch people out on it a lot. Like them being like, oh, but bro, like, what about this and that in 2 weeks? Like, bro, what the fuck is 2 weeks? Because like 2 weeks is tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, understanding the fragility of time is so important, bro. Like, it's like for me, I feel like you should start looking at life and time a lot more linear. Like it's just happening now. All the time is right now. Like it's not happening later, and nothing happened in the past. All of it is happening now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like right now, I'm putting the things into place because the future me is already doing those things. The me of before was still in that garage. You know what I'm saying? Like I know that all those things are put into place because I'm thinking about now. Do you know what I mean? I don't really give a fuck about before and after.
Have you visualized all this?
Yeah, bro. And honestly, like on that note, like I think that visualization and sitting there and just like really visualizing will bring everything to you. Like the universe works in a really crazy way.
Serious ways, yeah. It's
Dude,
powerful.
it's fucked.
100%.
Like I remember when I was looking for an apartment, I had like a last straw moment, like back at my old crib, and I was like, all right, I gotta get the fuck out of here. So I told and for a few months before, I had been envisioning what I wanted, like where I wanted my studio to be, what I wanted in there, what it was looking like, everything, and like believing that it was there, like it was a thing that I could just pull out of the air. But every time I'd try something that wasn't that, it just wouldn't work. So I'd be like, fucking, like, why is this happening? You know? I had a last straw moment. I told my girl, I was like, look, I want to move out. Can you just look while I go to bed? And then in the morning, we'll figure it out. She's like, all right, cool. She pulled up about like 4 or 5 places. I went to the first place. Dude, I swear on my mum, I walked in and it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. Dude, down to the point, you know that little cut, like you guys have seen my content, you know that little cutout where the mirror is?
Yeah, yeah.
Bro, it was cut out and my mirror fit perfectly into this. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? It's like perfect, bro. Perfect. Like I knew I wanted like a cool low-key alleyway type, and like what I was explaining before, like when you came out, it's the same thing. Like the colors were exactly what I imagined. The bed being above, like so I could see my shop, was exactly where it was. It's like the universe is there to help you. And if you really, really want it, and not like bullshit want it, like you really want it, bro, it'll happen. Yeah. Always.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Touched on your relationship with time. I want to go into that a little bit. Obviously, you're a one-man show.
Absolutely.
You've only got 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
And you got a lot of haircuts to do in a week by the sounds of it. I'd love to listen to how you structure your time.
It's like organized chaos. You know what I mean? So I think you guys would like,
Sounds like us.
It looks like you guys do that shit too. Like I got a rough idea of what's going on. But I don't like to be too in control. Like I like the inconsistencies in the day and like the little fuck ups here and there. I think
flexible.
I think that builds character. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that it shows a lot about yourself. So like for me, usually like the day is like this. I used to want to be like a morning person and the gym guy. I was like, fuck that, it's not happening. So wake up. The first 2 hours in the day is like my kind of like my reflection phase. So like I hop out of bed, like I got 2 dogs, so I do all the dog stuff. I'm like, all right, cool. For the first 2 hours, I'm doing nothing but reading, and then I'll make my content for the day. So like I know that always has to be that block. It has to be reading, dogs, and content.
Yep.
And then the rest of the day kind of just happens. Like, you know, I can't choose if someone like doesn't show up or someone's 15 minutes late or if like I feel unwell. So like whatever really happens, like either way, I kind of got something to slot into that place. Like, oh, someone didn't show up. It's cool. I got 45 minutes to edit this YouTube video. I'll do that. We'll go all the way down to like, so I work from like 10 to 7, sometimes 10 to 8. And I'm like, all right, cool. The rest of the day is switch off from work and just like kind of live life a little bit. It wasn't that before, like before when I was building up to this stage. It was a lot of like, okay, work's done. Okay, work times 2 now. Like back to the content, back to the ideas, this is that. But I just felt like for myself, it's cool to like kind of flow through it. You know, kind of be tranquil with your work instead of like a fucking walking tank. You know what I'm saying?
So well, it's really well said. And I feel like looking at your business and seeing it grow, do you feel like you're at a tipping point where you need to like scale a little bit, or?
Yes, I think the scaling, I don't know what it looks like yet. I got ideas of what I want. Like I definitely want to open up like an institution, or like kind of get like a whole like warehouse gig where like I've got all the things that I believe are the future going on in there, like mentorship programs and all that sort of shit. So I'm really big into teaching. So I believe that I should aim in that direction. I think, you know, I do have a voice that, you know, could change something, even if it's like one dude, bro. I don't give a fuck. Like,
Definitely.
Yep.
I want to change that one person. So for me, I know that like I am getting to that point where it feels like, okay, things are going really well. And like a general rule of thumb in the barbering community is like, all right, if you're booked out 2 weeks in advance, every single like 2 weeks for like, let's say 3 months, you raise your prices and you put that pressure on yourself, you know, because it's like, all right, well now I was charging $40 for a haircut. I charge $50 now. I can't fuck up this haircut anymore. It has to be a $50 haircut. Or not even a $50, it has to be an $80 haircut. Do you know what I mean? In terms of quality. So there's things like that you do business-wise, like for other barbers that are watching. But in terms of like for myself, I know I definitely want to start putting in the plans of like, you know, get into things that I wanted to get into, like clothing or like opening up that institution I was talking about and doing all the mentorship type stuff. So for sure, I think that's what's next for me.
It's very exciting, man. I can't wait to watch your growth in 2023.
Thank you, bro.
And
Thank you.
I really appreciate you coming on here, Josh.
No, that's all love, bro. I appreciate you guys having
It's
me.
a great chat,
Thank you.
man. Thanks for coming
Love,
on.
bro. Thank you. Peace.